Marine fighter pilot honors his great uncle.
Yeah, this one's pretty cool. So you got Captain Hower here. He's a Marine Harrier pilot, and his great uncle he just passed away April 1st. He's the last survivor of he was on the Arizona when it was sunk by the Japanese at the beginning of World War II. And he did an honor flight for his great uncle by flying with the wings that his great uncle gave to him. And I think it was 2020 when he got wings. So he took that and he flew with an American flag that they're going to put on his casket. And the cool thing is his uncle was part of back then it was like the enlisted aviation program. So his uncle went on to be a naval aviator. He flew Catalinas throughout the war, and he was actually part of the first cadre of officers and pilots who kind of developed a lot of the I guess what ended up being SEER. So kind of a nice gesture here. The Marines, they launched 2 Harriers up for this flight and did something special for his uncle. And his uncle was what's his name? It's worth saying, man. Cotner. He's a lieutenant commander Cotner. He enlisted in the Navy in 1939. So he lived to be 102 years old. And like, I saw this story, man, and I have a huge admiration for that entire generation. One of my favorite channels is Memoirs of World War II. They put on a really nice, like once a month, usually they put out a video, and it's, they find a vet and he tells this story. And it reminded me, so this particular story, it reminded me of a flyover that me and my buddy did for it was Admiral Arnold, Jackson D. Arnold. And he died in 2007, and he was at Pearl Harbor. And I got to meet his family. And back then, some of his buddies were still alive. So I got to hang out with real World War II vets.
Oh,
and like,
wow.
just, I mean, like this guy's great uncle and Admiral Arnold. I mean, just the things that they did. So like Admiral Arnold, he was at Pearl Harbor. He shot down a Japanese torpedo plane with a Browning assault rifle. So he got one kill with a Browning assault rifle. He got 2 other kills flying a TBM. And then at 10 o'clock at night, he got promoted to CAG, and they wanted him to lead the mission next day in the Hellcat. He'd never flown the Hellcat. So he took a flashlight and the pocket checklist, went downstairs, got in a Hellcat, familiarized himself with the cockpit. His first takeoff in Hellcat was at night. He shot down 2 Japanese and attacked the beach and came back and landed on that was his first flight ever in the Hellcat. So you look at this generation, man, and it's just like, I mean, yeah, you can't, I mean, the magnitude of the things that they had to do, were on the spot promotions, go get in that plane, fly it, like pretty wild stuff. And like, it's sad that literally every day, we're losing the people who participated in that. Not too long from now, all the World War II vets will be gone, which is crazy to me. Because growing up as a kid, that's kind of that's all the videos I watch for, P-51 Cam and whatnot. But it's just this is a really nice gesture by the Marines. And again, it's just I just wanted to pay my own tribute in respect to that generation. But I don't know, Mover, what do you think? Did you have any exposure with World War II vets at air shows or anything, talking to them?
So I did an interview with a World War II vet that was a doctor, because I did a history. It was like an oral history or whatever. It's actually in the LSUE archives, Doug. With Dr. Savoy, actually, Doug, if you know who I'm talking about.
I do.
He's still around. No, he passed away.
I'm thinking of Joe Savoy. Never mind.
Yeah, no, this was the elder. And dude, you're 100% correct. Like, I'm sure bean counters hear your story about doing the checklist and going out, and they're like, whoa, 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 where's the 8-week,
Yeah,
just to start the thing. Yeah,
right.
we need 6 months. My concern, I hope we don't ever lose the history, because I think the longer time goes on, it kind of dulls it a little bit, and we don't realize the gravity of what these brave men and women. I mean, there were women that were doing some awesome things as well during World War II, but the gravity of what they did and what they accomplished, because they were fighting evil. They were fighting evil on 2 fronts. There's no denying it. You can't, rewrite the history or anything, but there was pure evil, and they stepped up and against pretty big odds made it happen. And not only did they make it happen, but they created a world that could prosper, right? Because the world had been at war and destroyed, and they turned around and made it something great, something that they were trying to make it to where their kids would never have to go through this again. And I think the farther away we get from it, the more we forget, and the more we put ourselves in the exact same situation again, and the more we risk having something like that happen again.
Yeah, 100%, man. I mean, I when my kids get old enough, like I fully plan on exposing them to, the history of it. And, just, the crazy thing is we're talking about early 20-year-old guys and gals making it happen. Like the men went to war and the women had to pick up the slack at home, right? And that's building the bombers, flying, and, women flew them, off the assembly line. So like it was and even if you weren't in, right, even if like you had you didn't physically qualify, well, there was rationing, right? I mean,
Oh yeah.
it's not like the 20 years of blowing holes in the sand. You still go to Walmart, buy whatever you want, right? That wasn't the case. I mean, it was.
I mean, watch It's a Wonderful Life, man. Look at Jimmy Stewart's character. He didn't go to the war, but look at all the stuff that he was doing back home. And
no, Stewart did go to the war. He was a bomber pilot.
No, I mean his character.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
In the show, he had an ear thing, so he didn't go.
That's right.
His brother got the Medal of Honor.
That's right.
Got the Medal of Honor, Navy Cross, one of them.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a good thing, dude. I almost forgot about this. Actually, I did forget about this, but I wish I had not, because you made me think of it. I wanted to honor a fine American who passed away recently. I interviewed him on the channel with the F5 groups that were part of the movie Top Gun, but his life was way more than just Top Gun. Peter, his call sign was Horse, Caulk, and Oregon called me last week and told me about this, and he's in, is his best friend, and he's kind of like, pretty torn up about it. And hearing this, you're like, this is the good, the good don't stay, I mean, we can't, the longer time goes, the stuff happens, but it's unfortunate. So I just wanted to, his obituary. He was born October 18th, 1955. He passed away on the 25th, leaving behind a legacy of kindness and achievement. He graduated from the Naval Academy. He was an outstanding graduate in operations research. He spent 30 years in the sky, civilian and military, including 18 years in the Tomcat as an F-14 instructor pilot. He went to Navy's elite fighter weapons school, Top Gun, and was the top-ranked department head while heading the Tactics Development and Evaluation Department. While at Top Gun, he was also a MiG pilot in the movie. He flew the F-5. I think they all flew the F-5 and the A-4, if I remember right. So he took his energy to medical profession later in his career, starting with the 9Gs and Life Wings, then continuing his work as consulting, helping to bring the debrief mentality to solve problems in medicine. He decreased medical accidents by 600% at one hospital. So he took his experience as a fighter pilot and used it to do good stuff outside. And I had the pleasure of talking with him as part of the Top Gun group. We got them all together. I'm so thankful that Oregon helped me set that up, because just like the World War II veterans, this is another generation that, the stories and the legacy, it's preserving that so we don't forget about, these fighter pilots that were, he was leading the charge. I mean, look at Top Gun, Top Gun in the 80s. I mean, dude, it doesn't get any better than that.
No,
And
no.
just all the stuff. And they transitioned Top Gun, starting more missile related stuff. They were trying to get out of that Vietnam mindset so they could start fighting the next threat. And it's just nickel on the grass, man. It's just tough.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to think, even I mean, my dad was in Vietnam and he's 80, right? So I mean, it's just crazy. Yeah, Korean War vets, it's yeah, man. That's why I've always said it'd be so cool if every vet had their own channel, even if they just told, their one story. That stuff, like those stories, that's what keeps history alive, and that's what allows the next generation not to forget, in my opinion. Because as a kid, I idolized those guys, not the warmonger part of it, just the things that they did.
Well, the resilience and the fortitude. And so that's the other part. I'm not advertising my channel or anything, but that will, because we're now shifting to one channel, I'll be able to start going back and doing interviews again on my channel. So that'll be the silver lining in that, where I'll be able to sit down with people and actually have a no kidding conversation. Because I think the best interviews, like you talked about with these folks, is just shutting up, asking the question and then going, you got it, because if you get them talking, dude, I mean, I have been so honored to sit and be able to listen to some of these pilots talk about their careers and their lives, and not just their careers, but then what they did after. You take a lifetime of service, and then you've got a whole career after that, and they're still doing cool stuff. I mean, like what Horst was doing with the medical profession. I mean, dude just never stopped, so
yep.
Just very tough.